it's a pretty happy time around here right now. We don't have to play anybody on Saturday, so we are going to practice today and Thursday, but and the practice will be hard, but I'm sure the players will be excited and happy and having a good time out there because we've been having a good time ever since we won the championship. And getting to go to Hawaii for a bowl game, that's kind of special too, so we're in a pretty good mood around here right now. Hopefully when we get to Hawaii, we'll be able to focus in and win another game because I think it would be great for our team as well as for our program.
How rewarding is it to see this thing come together, considering where you were October 1st?
Well, you guys that were in this room, you remember at that time I didn't know if we could win another game, even though I said that I thought that our team showed a lot of progress in the second half of the Penn State game, and there were signs and there was a light at the end of the tunnel. Well, I had no idea it was going to be as good as it's turned out. But our players played hard, and they played well enough to do it, and we're reaping the benefits of it. And like I said, it really hasn't sunk into me. I don't know why it hadn't sunk in, but it really hasn't. But it's sunk in with our players. That they're a happy group. I want you to know they're a happy group.
For the whole year, you're like win 20, and that's like the focus. And, you know, it's almost a whole year you're waiting and pointing toward that. What did it feel like to finally get there?
Well, I mean, it felt good, obviously. It felt really good. I mean, the game was I'm not sure I would have wanted it any differently. But the game on the sideline was kind of nerve-wracking because of the way things went. But I think that our team showed something that they didn't have to show in the games before that, since we had scored first and we were ahead most of the game and had a pretty good margin of victory. I don't think they had to show what they showed in the game against Air Force, and that was physical and mental toughness, that no matter what went bad, they seemed to find a way to overcome it. And I think that kind of makes winning the championship a little more rewarding, because they were put under stress and they were put into a bad position by a very good football team, and they were still good enough to find a way to win. That makes it a little bit, maybe, I don't know, a little better than if they would have won by 3 touchdowns.
Have you even taken time to look at who your opponent is in Hawaii?
I have. That's why I'm not sure the championship has sunk into me yet, because if it had sunk in, I would have taken the week off and enjoyed myself. But, yeah, I've watched their last 4 games on film. They're a very, very explosive football team that spread you from sideline to sideline, and they have 3 really good running backs, and they have 3 or 4 really good receivers. A couple of them, I've been told, have already been invited to the Senior Bowl, which the NFL invites those guys, so that means they've got a couple of wide receivers that are draft choices. They have 2 really good quarterbacks. They have a veteran quarterback that got hurt during the season, so a redshirt freshman quarterback came in, and he played really good, but the veteran's healthy again. So it's going to be quite a challenge. Now, thank goodness it's not the option game. It's actually something that we played against most of the year, so at least we won't have the assignment errors that we had in the Air Force game.
Where's the trophy right now?
It's in our office. I would have brought it in here, but it's too darn heavy. I mean, they handed it to me on the stage, and I was going to lift it over my head. There was no way. And so I handed it to one of the stronger players on our team, Dakota Gordon, and guess what? He struggled holding on to it too, so I didn't feel so bad.
Cincinnati's put up some amazing offensive statistics, and they played a pretty tough schedule considering a whole bunch of those guys were nationally ranked.
You're exactly right. I mean, that just shows you how good they are in offense and how many skilled players they have to go to. So it's impossible to take a receiver away because there's too many good ones. It's impossible to take a certain running back away because there's too many good ones. But the key to every really good offense is the quarterback.
How good is Keel? What is Keel like?
He's a very accurate thrower with the ball. He gets rid of it under pressure and puts it on the money. He does not run with the ball very much, but he can run when he has to or wants to. He's a very talented player. So is the other quarterback. I mean, they throw with people in their face and they put the ball right on the money, and then they have receivers that go get it too. I just got done watching their game against Houston, and twice their receivers were perfectly covered. You thought it was going to be an interception, and the receivers took the ball right away from the defensive backs.
Coach, can you talk about the football awards you guys just came out with regard to Pumphrey winning the MVP for the second year in a row?
I think our players vote on the MVPs. I mean, we have a most valuable offensive player, most valuable defensive player, and the most valuable player of our team, and they voted Pumphrey as the offensive player and the overall most valuable player on our team, which makes sense to me. So our players also know how important he is to our team. I mean, everybody in this room knows how good he is, so he deserves the award, and he should have gotten it.
Pumphrey, wiry, tough, is that how you describe him, considering all the touches and hits he takes?
I don't know how I describe him, but he's not very big, and he's a tough guy, yeah. I don't like to repeat myself, but I said many times the most amazing thing about him is he weighs 170 pounds and he can run between the tackles. You don't see many guys like that. Most 170-pound guys are jittery guys that jump around and look for a seam and pop through a seam, or they try to outrun you to the sidelines. When Pumphrey runs a power play, he runs it like a power back.
You mentioned you've talked more than once, I guess, about building a program, the 6-7 year kind of thing. Do you just get a sense of where you are suddenly and think, hey, maybe we're honing in on that or getting closer all the time?
I think we're getting closer all the time. I think we're getting better all the time. I think winning 10 games shows that the program has gotten better. And this program could get better, and we might not win 10 games next year, and we might be a better football team next year. I mean, a lot of things have to go into it for you to be able to win 10 games and to win a conference championship. We had a veteran quarterback that got better and better and better and never put us in jeopardy by throwing interceptions. We had an offensive line that wasn't very good at the beginning and got better and better and better and was real good at the end. We had a defense that played well without having any injuries. And all of a sudden we get an injury that really hurts us against the kind of offense that we're playing against. We have a quarterback go down. I mean, that stuff could have happened 4 or 5 weeks ago, and we wouldn't be sitting here talking about a conference championship. So our program has gotten much better. We have better athletes in our program. The players in our program understand the expectation level. They understand how we do things and how hard they have to work. They understand all that. But in order to win 10 games, you also have to be lucky along the way too. You got to get some bounces go your way, or you've got to stay healthy and you can't lose some of your best players. And we were lucky that way too. So we could actually have a better football team next year and not win 10 games. But I think next year's football team has potential to be as good or better than this one was. And that when you build a program, that's every year should be like that. And in the years you get lucky where everybody stays healthy and some guys play really well, you win 10 games. So we're at that point. And once you get to that point, you never know when you start fast and play well the whole season, and then all of a sudden everybody thinks you're at a different level. I don't necessarily agree with them. People think the results mean you're in the next level. I don't think that means. I don't think our team would be worried about playing anybody right now. And you can take the top 10 teams in the country, and I don't think we'd be worried about it, and I think that it might be a hell of a football game.
You concerned about that Aloha vibe Hawaiian tropical sunshine.
No, I'm not concerned at all about that. But there are some people that disagree with how you should handle a bowl game. But I'm just stubborn enough to not care. I think that a bowl game is a reward. Now, if we were in the playoffs, I'd have a completely different attitude about this. But we're going to a bowl game, and I consider a bowl game a reward. And our team has played really well, so we're going to play hard, and we're going to practice hard, but the rest of the time we're going to have a really good time. Now, if that means that we won't play as well, so be it. I don't believe that's what it means. I think we'll play just as well, but it's not going to be the same as a regular season game.
Well, practice is starting up. Is Maxwell Smith ready to go this week, or is he going to?
No, he's not. He's not ready to go yet. I hope he gets ready, but I don't think there's much. There's not a real good chance that he'll be able to play. I hope he gets ready. I'd love to see him start the game, but he's not ready to practice yet. No.
Have you done some research on players or quarterbacks who've done it in the past? Have you looked up stuff?
I haven't done any research. I've been told that there's other quarterbacks have done that. I was told that Phillip Rivers did it. I haven't done any research, but I know there has been other quarterbacks do it.
What else does he have to do? Is it more rehab, getting swelling down?
The swelling's not completely out of it yet. They're not going to let him do anything till the swelling's completely out. They are rehabbing him. I mean, he's doing exercises and all that, and he's getting treatment about 5 and 6 times a day in order to try to get the swelling out of it. But before they'll even let him stand out there or jog around out there, the swelling's got to go. And so after that, I don't know what the process is. Put him in the brace that he would play in and see how it feels.
So do you hope Chapman pretty much takes these next few practices as if he's going to be the starter?
I think Christian will take it as he's going to be. This is the best part of our team. I think Christian will treat practice and practice like he's going to start, but in his heart, he's hoping Maxwell will start. Mm-hmm.
Because of what he's done?
Yeah, because what he's done to get us to this point.
If he can't actually go, would you ever do something symbolic where he comes out and takes the first snap or anything like that?
If the doctors say he can do something and he goes out there and hands off the ball and then he comes to the sideline and said, Coach, I can't do it, I'd do it that way. But I'm not going to put him out there if the doctors say he's in danger of being out there, because one play, it doesn't matter what you do in one play, it's dangerous. The doctors say he can go, we'll try it, and then we'll let him decide if he can continue to go.
Have you heard anything about the field conditions in Aloha Stadium recently? And if so, do you have any concerns about it?
I have not heard, but I've been asked that question. So I don't know what the situation is with the stadium. I don't know what the concerns are, but I have not heard or been told what they are. But you're the second one that has asked me that question, so something must have happened there.
They canceled a women's soccer game there on Sunday, and there were some photos of them pulling up where the seams are.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that, no.
Can you speak to when you were there? Did you guys ever see anything that would have been any issue?
No, we didn't see that, and we didn't have any problem when we played on it, so I don't think it was a concern when we were there.
The 2 injuries you had, though, to Ricks and I believe Turner, were those game-related? Those weren't necessarily field-related?
Well, I think the field always has something to do with it, but I don't – they would have maybe happened. I mean, the kind of hits they took and twisted it, it could have happened without the field being any issue whatsoever.
Rocky, can you talk about the calmness that Chapman seemed to show in the Air Force game? Just his ability to do everything, pass, run, scramble.
Yeah, I think he was very confident in what the game plan was. I think he was very confident in his ability, and he performed like he was a well-prepared athlete. I mean, I think I don't think we were worried about that at all, and I think we believed he was going to play well. He just exceeded our expectation level, and And that's nice because most athletes don't exceed your expectation level. Most of them don't get to your expectation level. But I think he exceeded our expectation level. And we might not have won the game unless he did.
What's that say about Coach Morgan and preparing? I know he probably helped you with the Air Force offense too and all that, but with Chapman specifically.
Yeah, let's give him credit for us not giving up those long plays that Air Force have. Let's give Blaine Morgan the credit for that too. He didn't teach us well enough. No, I think Coach Morgan has done a great job with those quarterbacks. I mean, obviously they both performed well, and you saw Maxwell get better as the season goes along. That's a young man willing to put the work in, but that's also a guy that's coaching him right too. And if you ask Christian, Maxwell had a lot to do with him playing well too. Maxwell was in every meeting. Maxwell was at every practice talking to him between reps. They watched film together other than their normal meeting time. They watched film together. They are roommates on the road. So Maxwell was with them the whole day before the game and the night before the game. And Christian gives him a lot of credit, too, for the way he played.
Saturday, I think Penny was in on a play, he scored a touchdown, but he wasn't supposed to be in there. Can you talk about what happened there? And that kind of speaks to the success you guys have had this year, where even something like that turns out good.
Well, now, Rashad, I heard, is apologizing for messing that up because we yell out the personnel that we want in the game on the sidelines. So either we yelled the wrong personnel or he heard it wrong. So he ran out on the field and Chase Price came off the field. But now Rashad Penny has run that play before. Rashad Penny is a tailback, and he has run that play in practice. Okay, so it wasn't like he was doing something he wasn't trained to do. Okay, he was just surprised when they called the play that he was out there because that play was not designed for him. But he had run that play in practice. If you watch it, and I was going, what's going on? Because I watched him. He turned to the sidelines and looked at the sidelines and did this. And then he goes, and they went, and then he lined up a tailback and ran the play. And then the offensive line did a great job of blocking, and there was a hole, and he scored. So the mistake was he wasn't supposed to be out there. But it's not like he ran a play he didn't know what to do. So I don't think that's near as big a deal as people are trying to make it out to be.
No, I just think it's interesting.
He even apologized to me. I'm sorry, Coach. And I said, what for? And he said, I wasn't supposed to be in there. I said, but you did the right thing. You scored. I'm happy for you.
Was the number 20 in the terminology or something? Is that what could have caused the confusion?
I don't know how they usually call it by numbers. They call out personnels by numbers and names. Okay, sometimes they call 22 out, and sometimes they call Rhino out. And that means the exact same thing. Okay? So he might be in there on 22 personnel and not on Rhino. But it's the same guys. It's the same number of offensive linemen, tight ends, and backs. So they might have called 22 and he's supposed to be out there in 22, or they might have called Rhino and that's not his deal, but it's the same number of running backs and linemen and tight ends. I'll have to ask him. Because when he apologized to me, I said, I'm not upset. Why would you be apologizing?
Coach, you're talking about Cincinnati and how they have skill athletes on offense. Have you watched their defensive film at all yet?
No, I haven't watched any of their defense. No.
Rocky, when you reflect back, when Brady came here and you came here, how hard was it to flip culture, recruit raw talent? What were the early days like, and how hard was it?
Well, I think changing an attitude takes a while. And I thought Brady started it off and did things that needed to be done. And that's why Brady and I are very close friends. We believe in a lot of the same things philosophically. But I think it takes 3 or 4 years to completely change an attitude. Until you get all your own players, the attitude is not completely changed. But I think that's any new coach trying to build a program has to do that. Some of them aren't given the opportunity to do that, which really upsets me. But every new coach that goes into a program has to do that. Some coaches get lucky and there's enough talent there to still win games, but he's still changing attitudes and changing the way things are done. Most coaches aren't lucky enough to have enough talent to change attitudes and the way things are done and still win games. Okay? The recruiting hasn't changed. Our situation is we have to do a better job of evaluating players than the Power 5 guys do. Just because of the resources they have, the facilities they have, the money they can spend recruiting, it's not the same, and it's completely out of kilter. It used to not ever be fair, but now the difference between the Power 5s and the non-Power 5s is astronomical on resources. So that hasn't changed for us. We have to evaluate better than they do. We have to find the kids that aren't overly recruited, that in 2 or 3 years are going to be just like their guys. And to be honest with you, that's much harder to do than to recruit the 4- and 5-star athletes, because everybody in this room could pick them off of film. But you can't pick out the no-star and the 1-star athletes that we have on our team that are really, really good football players. And so that's our job, to try to evaluate better than they do. And that's much more difficult to do, by the way.
So it's especially difficult because when you're scouting, you see a guy here and there. Then when you get him on campus, you see him all the time. So there's things that you may not have seen that you would have seen every single day.
Yeah, that makes it harder. And so you probably make more mistakes. They make us mistake a time or two because some of those 5-star guys don't turn into good college players. Their mistakes are fewer than our mistakes too, because we're guessing more than they are.
Rocky, you talked a few minutes ago about Christian being willing to step aside and give that start to Maxwell if need be. Is that unselfishness maybe unique to this team compared to maybe some other teams you've had?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think this is the most unselfish football team I've ever coached. And I've been lucky to be around several football teams that are unselfish. But to be honest with you, this is the most unselfish football team I've ever coached. In fact, some of our players are more unselfish than their parents are.
Where do you think that comes from?
I don't. You get a group of kids together that like each other, and stuff like that happens. And football teams, when you have 100 and some players on your football team, they're just like society. It's hard to get 100 people to like each other. I mean, usually you have segments that they really like each other, but they don't like that group over there. And most football teams are just like that. This football team really likes one another. And the ones that don't fit in, they don't stay very long, and it's not me running them off. So I don't know how that developed, but it's really fun to be around them. It's really fun to be around that group like that. I'd like to take credit for it, but I'll promise you it's not me. I mean, we don't go recruit guys and say, hey, you got to like everybody else or we're not going to recruit you. We don't do it that way. We do it by ability. And we're lucky to have that right now. I hope it continues, but there's no guarantee for that either now.
Is a lot of that coming from the seniors?
A lot of it comes from the seniors. I mean, they kind of set the tone. But our seniors over the last 3 years have done a great job of leadership. But this group, I mean, it's very unusual. This group really likes one another. I mean, shoot, I think they said at the banquet, they play foursquare in the locker room. I mean, I haven't played foursquare since I was in elementary school. You know, they set up baskets down there and they play basketball down there with Nerf balls and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they hang in a locker room. They hang out in the locker room together more than any other team I've ever been around. I mean, it's fun to be around them. It really is fun to be around them. I wish I could find the formula. We could make a lot of money if we had that formula.
Coach, I was curious to know, I saw that for the bowl game, the game's at the same time as the Charger Raider game. Any thoughts on that head-to-head TV slot?
No, I hadn't thought about that. I know that it's Christmas Eve too, which is not a good, probably not a real good day to have a TV game. You know, people are doing a lot of other things. I don't think us and the Chargers makes any difference at all. I don't think their game will be watched by very many either because it's Christmas Eve.